Today's AskReddit post. Which job is a lot less fun than most people expect? Oh boy, this is gonna be a good one. Let's get started. Video game tester. You aren't spending your time playing completed fully realized games. You are playing the same level of a game over and over, seeing if there are bugs. I had a friend who got a job as a tester at Activision. They had him testing interactive Disney storybooks. I have a co-worker who used to work at Activision programming those interactive Disney storybooks. He always said the work was fine, but he hated the people he worked with. After reading through this thread for 20 minutes, I've concluded that every job sucks. I think doing anything for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week would probably get tiresome. After working in 2-3 hour blocks interspersed with home cooking, walks, naps, and little tasks around the house these last few months, I'm having a hard time accepting that I'll probably have to endure 5 consecutive 8-hour days again. Accounting isn't the adrenaline rush that most people think it is, but the glamour, the perks, the respect, the debits, the credits. Demolition. Everyone wants to break poop with a sledgehammer. Everyone is tired of lifting that sledgehammer by 5 swings. Nobody wants to load the broken stuff into bags or a wheelbarrow and take it to the dumpster. I did a 2-week demo job years ago where I had to jackhammer 75 lbs at least, a concrete slab, and grind rebar into pieces. I'm in good shape and that job ducked me up. Lawyer. No, it isn't like they show on TV. Hey, finally cases before the judge. Crap, the other party didn't show up. Next date that judge has given is 3 months away. I always say the more fun it is to go somewhere, the worse it is to work there, like amusement parks and arcades. Honestly, every job that lots and lots of people really want to do sucks. Mostly due to supply and demand. You're gonna be treated like poop. And if you complain, you're gonna be fired because you're inherently replaceable. Because there's thousands of people that would love to do your job for even less money than you are making. Hiking and backpacking guide. Worrying for others the whole time takes the fun away. I went on a glacier hike when I was in Iceland, and the guide seemed genuinely shocked and thrilled that my girlfriend and I were the only 2 people on his tour that day, and we had actually spent more than 5 minutes outdoors and were appropriately dressed. He said usually he had fairly large groups of tourists who typically had practically no outdoor experience and even less experience with cold weather. He said people often showed up in flip-flops even though the instructions clearly said to wear sturdy hiking shoes. He also said the groups typically move extremely slowly and he never gets to take people up onto the part with the best views and cleanest looking ice. He actually seemed really relieved we wanted to go further up and were making great time, like it was a treat for him. He was very knowledgeable and seemed so excited to talk about the stuff he knew, and I got the impression he usually spent more time babysitting than actually sharing that knowledge. I have seen this question before, and then it was Zookeeper at the top comment too. Nice. Anyways, there's this making a Frozen 2 mini doku. Most animators work weeks for a minute of animation of one character, if not less. At one point they decided to leave out a piece that one person had solely been working on. Must be crappy to be part of the credits without being able to say this is my part. I couldn't believe it. It was even crazier to me when Sterling K. Brown recorded an entire song and it got scrapped. It's insane how much ends up on the cutting room floor for a movie to be just right. I was so psyched for the animator that did that end scene for Into the Unknown though. She killed it. I'm a marine biologist. I spent the last week measuring defrosted fish heads. The sea was angry that day. I said, easy big fella. Working in a music store. Musical instruments. Your days are spent listening to 50 different people play 50 different riffs poorly simultaneously, as if they're all putting on their own concert. Lifeguarding. Everyone expects Baywatch act, saving lives all the time. But it's usually just sitting there blowing your whistle telling little poops to stop ducking around. I lifeguarded in high school. It can be mind-numbingly boring. I was certainly the tannest I've ever been though. Lucky. I'm a high schooler lifeguard and I just burn. Baker. Coming into work at 3/4 am so you can have a 6 am baked goods is miserable. Gamma Master at an escape room. It's the same repetitive script, resetting the same stuff, giving clues and hints about the same things. The patrons are often competitive families who argue, obnoxious impatient 13-year-olds, college students who have been drinking, idiots who break poop and touch poop that I specifically told them not to. They never remember your initial instructions. If something gets broken during one group, you have to hurry and fix it before the next group. First time I went to an escape room, the guy had an empty booking after us, so we just hung out and chatted for a bit. He told us all about how he researched other escape rooms and got professionals to help him build a story that allowed for fun puzzles too. He told us about how he and his wife went all over the place and on eBay looking for cool props, decorations and scenery to make the place how they wanted it. He was really excited when he talked about it and said he's looking forward to opening another. The day-to-day might be boring, but the guy 100% loved making the thing in the first place. Cybersecurity. Bro, the movies do us no justice. Hacking is not as fast nor is it as easy as the media makes it. It's a great field, but you spend a lot of time researching or watching paint dry, especially in the gov side. Edit. I'll never be able to answer all of your questions. I'll answer some PMS as I get a chance, but goddamn is the pay incredible and more than makes up for it. Do you work in cybersecurity? Paleontologist. You don't get to work with full dinosaur skeletons and do all kinds of awesome expeditions. You're mostly sitting at a desk looking at some pictures and logging stuff on your computer. Maybe examining a fossil occasionally. If you're lucky you can go on a real dig. And OMG spend hours in the hot sun dusting off rocks. That actually sounds pretty fun. It basically sounds like school with some extra steps. I agree, if I was as into dinosaurs as much as I was when I was 6, this would be awesome. Researching dinosaurs all day and playing in the dirt. Sounds good. Being a writer. I always thought it was my absolute dream job, but the only job I could get after college was working in a content mill as a blog writer. I used to work 70-hour weeks staring at the computer in a basement of an old bank writing bullpoop articles about the dangers of mold, fence cleaning, and why you need a commercial awning, and the dream turned into a nightmare. While I still write occasionally, I am now working as a communications person, so it is a bit less heavy. Bar bouncer. Hours of tension and boredom interrupted by moments of adrenaline-fueled fear for your life. Then some asshole pukes cheap booze on your shoes. I feel that, especially the boredom part. I was an EMT, which pays crap, years ago, and fell into security work where I was security until people bleed intoxicated whatever to also get paid crap but be able to cover bills. It's mind-numbingly boring the majority of the time until I get to de-escalate a situation where someone feels way too entitled. Asshole tries something stupid, and or brief window of very violent danger. Maybe weird, but the boredom was my least favorite part. The best were moments when I helped break up assholes fighting and then got to see attitudes swing 180 when they need to get patched up and I'm the only medical person there. Weirdly, regular EMT equals be a jerk. Event security equals be a jerk. Event EMT equals oops what a joke, weird broth, right? Video game testing. I've been working in the game industry for 6 years now, and teaching for 2. Testing video games is thought to be just you just play games all day, lol, but it's actually very specific and arduous. First of all, there are a bunch of testing methodologies such as load soak testing, white room testing, version testing to name a few, but the most common one is functionality testing. Functionality testing is so if I walk into that corner with the shotgun in my inventory, I can clip through the wall, but if I have my M16 in my inventory, I don't clip through. I write adult fan fiction as a side hustle. After a certain point it's just like writing a paper, except you have to keep thinking of different synonyms for a penis. I'm missing the part where this isn't fun. Video game developer, non-indie. They're notoriously overworked, especially during crunch time. The field is highly competitive too. So I imagine if you have the slightest issue with work being your entire life, it wouldn't be hard to replace you. Voice acting is also pretty brutal. Voice actors generally don't get paid very well and they're straining their throats or whatever. Not only that, but video game developers are notorious for not getting paid what they deserve, especially relative to other peers in the CS world. I mean, a lot of these guys, especially those who make their own game engines and stuff, are basically creating miniature worlds with realistic physics and graphics all from scratch. Obviously a lot of big AAA titles have huge teams working on them, but some only have around 20 people. Managing a dog hotel, breaking up dog fights, dogs pooping in the lobby and the occasional awful owners. Edit. Thanks for all the upvotes NL. Sad, my most popular comment is about my job lol. Breaking up dog fights. What kind of aircraft do you use to break up these dog fights? Sup with camel. Librarian. It's not all books and being quiet. There are also spreadsheets. I'm a librarian too. I wouldn't say it's not fun, but it's definitely not what people think it is. If we sat around reading books all day, no books would be checked in or checked out. No books would be shelved. No information would be answered. No computer help. No programming would take place, etc. I love my job and am inspired by it, but it's a lot more work than people think. Accountant. Everyone thinks it's all fun and number crunching, but the constant stream of women throwing their panties and wanting to bear your children is honestly exhausting. My mother's an accountant. From what I can tell, it's a lot of staring at large numbers and making sure they're all correct and going through vast amounts of spreadsheets. Then discovering you made a mistake somewhere on the spreadsheet that was for January. So now you have to redo January, February, March, April and May. Meanwhile, your deadline for June is in 3 hours. I've seen many of the most intelligent people I've ever met do this at work and it's exhausting to watch. Being a chef. All the flair and awesomeness they show on Vice and Netflix is far from what actually happens in the industry. It's not all fancy plates and tattooed cool-haired guys doing their thing. It's a drug-infested, law-breaking work environment that only benefits the owners of a restaurant. Edit. Thank you for the love and good reads, people. I have some insane stories I'll share someday. For those asking, I am a sous chef at Michelin level restaurants nowadays. Not a chef de cuisine yet. Programming. Please help me. I need a hug. Why did I need to be such a nerdy ducking kid when I was younger? Edit. Sorry if I made you guys question your career path. I wouldn't trade programming for anything. D. Yep, not what I thought. Lots of inflated egos and disorganization. It's scary how ducked up software looks when you see the code that's making it work. I'm amazed half of it even works sometimes. Corner cutting and lack of understanding go a long way towards this. It doesn't help that we're always looking for cheaper ways to build stuff. I still wonder whether it's worth the paycheck. Flight attendant. 1. You are on call forever. Have a terrible schedule. Have no life. And make no money for 5-10 years. 2. While you work for peanuts, you can't afford to use your flight benefits in any substantial way. 3. Then, when you finally get a chance to use your benefits for a trip, you have to fly standby, which means you aren't guaranteed to get on the flight you want. 4. Then, if you do make it out of town, you better have like a week off so you can make damn sure you're back in your base city in time for your next work shift. 5. Did I mention there is an act of US legislation that allows airlines to exploit so you don't get paid for certain work hours that you actually need to be working? For example, FARs don't get paid for boarding, or any time the plane is at the gate. Worst job ever. Any idea why the job is so competitive? I do closed captioning. While I joke that yes, I get paid to watch TV, it's actually very tedious. And if you don't actually enjoy the programming, you're being forced to watch something you don't care for. Or worse, if it's something I do enjoy like a long form drama, we usually chop those up into 15-minute increments and split between everyone, so I only see chunks and not always even in order. It actually ruins the show for me. I can imagine it's tedious. My partner corrects YouTube videos sometimes and that takes so long. As a deaf person, I really appreciate captions. So thank you for doing what you do. Red Heart Suit. Event planner. It's hell on earth when you have a million things going on and you're waiting for everything to come together. I feel your pain. Not my job 100% of the time, but a big chunk. You only have control over so much. What you don't is incredibly stressful, as well as what you do have control over. I honestly think being a streamer and a YouTuber is a lot less fun than it seems to be, but a lot of people know that by now. Still though it doesn't seem unfun. Trimming weed. IDKY people think working with weed is like working in the Willy Wonka factory. It's not. You literally get to make tiny cuts with sticky scissors for 8 hours. Yay. Was gonna say cannabis dispensary. Everybody coming in, you have the greatest job. It's just retail. I worked at a smoke shop in a state where marijuana isn't legal. Most laid back job I've ever had, but also the most terrible. Being a paramedic. If you work somewhere like Chicago, NYC or LA, yeah, you get stabbings and shootings, other varieties of murder on the regular. Most places the bulk of call volume is patients that don't feel well. The adrenaline-filled blood, guts and glory calls are far less likely than the media would imply. Even in major cities you get 10 "this homeless dude is drunk and needs a ride to the hospital" or "my pinky has been hurting for 8 weeks" calls for every legit trauma. Working in a flower shop. It's just like any other retail job, but people constantly tell you how fun your job must be. Also, helping grieving families choose funeral flowers is not fun. Well, I'm a scientist. I don't know if people usually think of that career as fun, but I think people think it's a lot more eureka, and a lot less "this data has to be manually processed for 600 hours before I can analyze it." Working at an amusement park. It's not amusing. Although not necessarily bad. Beekeeping. Get used to the constant sound of buzzing during hive inspections, swarm removals, plus wearing the protective suit in hot ass weather for hours on end. Give or take the situation. Also, there appears to be a large number of beekeepers allergic to bees, so EpiPens are a must. Teacher. Children are psychic vampires. The kids are the fun part, It's the red tape and grading that make it unfun for me. That, and when an 11-year-old tells me to go duck myself or get off their nuts. LOL. Or dealing with people in charge who don't know anything about teaching but think they do. Honest, most real answer. Any job, every job. Until you've done it, you only have an idealized version of it in your head. Pilot. You could lose your career with a single illness or injury, which could be happening to me soon. My husband is a pilot for one of the top 3 airlines in the US. It is true you have to work your ass off for the hours, and first year of pay at a major is poop. Yes, you can easily make over 300k depending on what aircraft you fly and how many trips you fly per month. For your information, don't ever drop out of the long-term disability program. Ever. It can save you if there is an illness, injury and you can no longer fly. And in times like this you also have to prepare that furloughs can and will be happening. You could be out for months or years. Plan ahead and have $sign and savings. You never know what can happen. Be safe in the skies. Elementary teacher. I deal with a lot more body fluids than you'd expect as a teacher. I taught high school and had a kid pee at my desk. Then had a gang fight with a head injury and lots of blood spray within the same week. I chose high school to avoid some of the bodily fluids. Turns out, not so much. Wow, I expected everyone to say this, but I haven't seen it yet. %100 bartender. We've all had fun in bars, but never the bartender. Imagine throwing a house party where you're responsible for everyone and you can't drink yourself. Edit. Yes. I know a lot of places are fine with you drinking, but I always found it made the job harder rather than easier. Being a boss or manager of any kind. You think it's gonna be all gravy cause you're on top, but there are two ways it can go. 1. You're overworked and still not getting paid enough for this shitty. 2. No one is paying attention to your work because you are the boss. So you don't actually have to do anything. Or even have anything to do, so you are just chronically bored out of your skull trying to find something to do that looks like boss work. People you manage will always find something to bitch about. There's no making everyone happy. An artist. Time management is very hard, and it becomes more of a job instead of fun hobby. Time management is hard for most of the artists I know. Even if they don't have a lot of work, it can be hard to make art when you just don't feel like it. Modeling. Park ranger. Don't get me wrong, I loved it, but a lot of days it was less talk about cool animals while wearing your ranger hat and more the toilets are overflowing again. Go clean the septic tank filter and stir the tank with a shovel. With a little bit of hey, there's a methed out guy down by the bridge. Can you convince him to leave without killing anyone? All for the low price of $26k a year with a college degree. Edit so more people will see this. I hate the idea that this comment might dissuade anybody from becoming a park ranger. These jobs are so varied, and I just happen to work for an underfunded agency with too few staff. Honestly, I still love this job and would have kept doing it forever if a higher paying outdoor environmental job hadn't pretty much fallen into my lap. Being a park ranger taught me so much, and most importantly, I got trained as a wildland firefighter, which is still my favorite part of my job. If you've always dreamed of being a park ranger, please go for it. A pediatric nurse. Being a nurse for children and adolescents. Everyone in nursing school talks about how much they want to work with kids. The reality is that a pediatric nurse sees more cases of abuse and neglect than any other specialty. It doesn't matter where you are in a pediatric hospital, it's the thing you see most. I've seen so many DCS, Department of Child Services, caseworkers that I've gotten to know some of them and became acquaintances with them. Sure, working with children and adolescents is great, but people don't think about the most essential piece of that puzzle, which is their families. It doesn't matter how good of care you give to those kids. If you don't loop the parents into that care, you may as well just not be doing anything for them. For me, it was working in horse breeding. I recently got laid off and took a job in horse breeding. It's awful. It's disgusting. It smells. Hands covered in stallion smegma by the end of the day. Ugh. When I think fun job, I can say pretty confidently that horse breeder has never come to mind. Unless you're doing it the way Steve-O did. I see no excitement in that profession. Teacher. Summer's off. Cool. Week for Thanksgiving. Cool. 2 weeks for Christmas. Cool. Entitled parents. Poop. School district and administration wanting you to do two different things. Poop. The kids. Sigh. Okay. I love the kids so much, but they absolutely break your heart 100% of the time. There are assholes. Sure, those aren't the ones who break your heart. It's those kids you can't help. Whether it's from a poopty home life, bullying, or they just aren't smart. It's those kids who you go above and beyond for, but at the end of the day, you can't be there for them all the time. Programmer. People see it as an anonymous figure typing a few lines of code and gaining access to top secret files. In reality, it's 10% coding and 90% searching your problems on Stack Overflow. I've only been doing it professionally for 9 months now, but I think it's more 10% coding, 20% googling and 70% trying not to scream. Theme park security guard ride assistant. Yes, they're the same job. People constantly come at you with the stupidest questions and entitled attitude. All the while your bosses force you to work extra hours every day because they don't have the nerve to tell people to go once it's closing time. Bro, you actually watched the whole video. I'd give you a high five if I was a human. Make sure to click the like button and subscribe for more great content. See you next time.